Friday, November 3rd. Let's see, this week had a Fed meeting in which the Fed confirmed that it will raise the overnight cost of money in December. We have a new Fed chairman. We have the 459-page outline of a new tax code. We have the president leaving for Asia today. I'm sure I've forgotten something else that happened. Oh, the Mueller indictments. And interest rates are unchanged. They're actually a little lower. They are actually behaving as though they might go a little lower yet, which is a little hard to explain. My hunch is that the tax code proposal looks less likely to proceed than it did before it saw the light of day. So there's less fear that there'll be some sort of economic stimulus that would force the Fed to act faster than it intends to. Whatever, the reality is that nothing much happened, and despite all the noise that there is out there, especially political noise and public policy noise, markets are ignoring all of it and just proceeding. Then the economic data is all just red hot. I mean, smoking hot. The two surveys on the first week of every month from the Old Purchasing Managers Association, which are now the Institute for Supply Management, one for manufacturing and one for the service sector, it both came in. Their September readings are about as high as those surveys ever come in. And we got payroll figures today that are hurricane distorted, but we got wages year over year, if anything, are in a downtrend. So no inflation, no wage growth, no Fed, and rates behaving. On a more complicated subject, the tax reform document. The tax reform document, in an ideal universe, tax reform simplifies the tax code and broadens the tax base so that tax rates can come down. Now, looking at the outline that appeared yesterday, Thursday, of what's going to be introduced into the House, I'm reminded of my teenage years in which our family physician, bound to be dead by now, so it's okay, was Dr. Raymond Medler. And one day I mentioned to my dad the unfortunate connotations of having a physician named Medler. And he thought for a minute and completely deadpan said, well, could have been named Dr. Fiddler. And so we had a conversation about the relative merits of being named Medler or Fiddler. I'm afraid that's what applies to this tax code. I suppose there are isolated things in it that might be a good idea, and some of them might actually be enacted into law, I don't know, late winter, spring next year. You know, maybe some aspect of corporate taxes ought to deal with overseas competitiveness. Maybe some kind of tax cut just because tax cuts are popular in Congress. But for the most part, of 459 pages, 456 of them are dead as Julius Caesar. On that cheerful note, do have a nice weekend.